so excited for this trip. Ah! Time to fit some clothes and see which ones to bring. Damn! Girl, this dress is so sexy on me. Yes, yes, yes. Oh my god, I'm definitely bringing this bikini because I would look so hot. Okay, good to go. I'm back! I can't wait to check out my photos. Wait, I don't remember seeing myself like this. What the?
Hello beautiful minds, welcome to my channel. I am Saika and today I'd like to share with you the things I denied to think about when I was fat. So the main reason why it took me so long to lose the weight or start my weight loss journey was me being in denial of my problems related to weight. In another video, I discussed the difference between resignation and acceptance and how resignation can be so debilitating to one's progress, especially in terms of weight loss. So if you guys want to check that out, I'll have that video linked down below. But for this video, I'd like to share to you the concrete examples and scenarios that I was in complete denial of my fat. So without further ado, let's get into it. Number 1, food. So obviously that's really going to be a part of the list. It wasn't so much as the quantity, but I guess the quality of the food that I was inhaling. Just kidding. I was eating. According to my sister and also from knowing myself, I eat exorbitant amounts of sugar, junk food, and fast food. I have 2 prime examples of this. So first is in high school. So I was in my 3rd year, 4th year in high school. So it's usually during exam week or project week or just the super busy weeks in class. And I remember going to the mall. I was by myself and I went to the food court and I ordered an 11-inch pizza. And I sat in one of the benches and I ate the whole 11-inch pizza by myself. You know, at that time I really didn't regret it. It felt so good eating it and I just enjoyed it. So I ate everything. I did feel shame because I didn't tell my parents, I didn't tell my dad about it, I didn't tell my sister about it. I hid it, but I didn't regret one single slice. Another example is my obsession with Frappuccino. So I'm not talking about this specific establishment, but there is this ice blended drink. If you're my friend, you would know what ice blended drink I'm talking about. So it's like a Frappuccino, I guess, that I absolutely am obsessed with. I love it so much. I would at least drink it once a week. It was like a drug to me. Like if I couldn't have it for at least once a week, I would think about it non-stop. Like it was that bad. But there was this one week in particular, again, this was in college. It was a stressful week. I drank that Frappuccino. It was a large and I always pair it with a triple-decker cheesecake. Ugh. And I ate those 2 things every single day for a week. I felt so bad because I knew it was bad that I was drinking it every day, but I couldn't stop myself. I was literally like an addict. I would just eat and eat and eat, drink and drink and drink, and it would make me feel so good. But I would tell myself, at least there's no whipped cream. At least they use low-fat milk, and I would just use that excuse and say,
yeah, I'm fine.
I obviously consumed a lot of sugar and fatty foods, and I would hide this from my parents, my sister especially, because you know she's the one I'm closest to, so she can see me eat more than often, go on dates a lot. So you know, I would hide that from her, and I would usually eat when I'm bored, when I'm emotional, especially for my frap, just because just because. Number 2, clothes shopping. As a shopper, I tried to be really creative with my wardrobe. Any fat girl would know we have struggles when it comes to clothes shopping. There's only a few shops we can shop at. You know, there's always a hard time like thinking about, oh my god, will they have my size? By the time I was already graduating college, I was at my heaviest at this point. I knew I wasn't fitting into the usual clothes that I could fit into. I still found ways to shop in other stores, so there was that. But one prime example in particular that really sort of hit me was when we were having our trip to Europe, and my mom basically told us to shop. So there was a deadline when we can shop, and again, there's this need to dress up, you know, for the European weather. Because of those sort of like restrictions or limitations, it was so hard to look for clothes. And I remember, because I was shopping with my sisters, my second sister, she's thin, and I remember being so jealous that she could just get something off the rack and then she doesn't have to fit it. She'd be like, okay, I think this is my size more or less, and just eyeball it and it would fit her. And for me, I'd have to go and hide and look for clothes that would fit me. Like, hopefully it would. I would beg for the clothes to fit me. Like, me and my sister, I was like, can I just wear that one, because it had my size and she also wanted it, but of course in her size. So she's like, okay, sure. But like, she didn't really ask me about it, but it was honestly because I had no other options. So, and she could have like anything she wanted. So I was like, please, I really like it. But deep down, it wasn't really my style per se, but there was nothing else. And I remember going to H&M, and they only stocked here from where I am up to a size 44. And even that, I sort of exceeded already. So I was like, ah! And it really alarmed me internally, but I refused to acknowledge it. And once you were there, my mom would be like, why are you wearing that? And I would get so defensive, and I'd be like, no, it's my style, oh, it's pretty on me, blah blah blah. But deep down, it's just the only thing that could fit me. There was nothing else. And you know, it's really sad looking back how in denial I was of that, where I should have been more accepting so that I could have changed a lot sooner. We're still here now, so it's fine. Number 3, bodily signs. I also had a lot of like body struggles, I guess. Not just my fatness, but because of my fatness. First of all, I had shortness of breath. There was this one time in particular, it was a PE class and it was camping, and we were camping by this mountain. So the base camp was at the bottom of the mountain, and this mountain wasn't even really that tall or that high. So the climb up is an hour, and then climb down is again another hour. And there were 4 stops till you reach the peak. And I was so out of breath just going to the first stop. I knew it was because of my weight. Like, my peers, you know, I'm in college, I should walk an hour, that's fine. But like, I don't know, 15 minutes into it, I was so out of breath. I was so lightheaded, and I was begging for someone to want to go down, because our professor was like, you can go down if it's too much for you or whatever. But it would be so embarrassing if I'm the only one going down on the first stop. So I waited until finally someone else, a lot of people actually, wanted to go down when we reached the second spot. And actually, all of us wanted to go down. We're on the chubbier side of the scale, but of course no one mentioned it. So we all went down. I was so happy to oblige, and we just chilled on the base camp. That should have been very eye-opening, but again, total in denial. The next one is I wasn't very mobile. Like, I couldn't do an Asian squat, which I think it's called an Asian squat. As an Asian, I should know how to do an Asian squat, but I've never done an Asian squat. I couldn't do it. My knees would hurt, my joints would hurt, my legs would cramp, and of course other, you know, joint pains besides. But usually it's my knees, because they're the ones supporting my tum-tum. And finally, like, the biggest bodily sign is I would skip periods. I would skip 3 to 4 months of having no periods, and then my longest skip was 6 months. So stress could also be an added factor, but I knew it was also more so my weight, because the more I gained weight, the less I would have my periods. And I can attest to that now, because 6 months after I lost the weight, 10 to 15 pounds to my goal at this point, I started bleeding again. And until now, I've never skipped. That really concerned me, but I just kept it hidden and I didn't really talk about it for the longest time. And to be honest with you, I've never been so happy to bleed. I mean, a lot of girls, you know, women, we don't like menstruating, you know, we always complain about it. But honestly, as someone who's always skipping and who knows I have a hormonal imbalance because of that and dirty blood is clogging up in my system, like, it's just so relieving to finally bleed and be on time with my periods. And I'm so happy I lost the weight and see that now. And actually, I'm in my period right now, so yay! And just a side note, I also have scalp psoriasis. So if you don't want to know what psoriasis is, just look it up. It's basically an autoimmune disease, but weight could also factor into its flare-ups. And honestly, since the time I lost weight, my flare-ups have not been so severe. Actually, they're only super minimal now. So weight loss also did help in that department too. And the last one is that I was truly happy with how I looked. More than anything, I would put on a face that I was happy with exactly how I looked. Let's say circa 2019, so I'll show you a picture here somewhere. I would say I was so happy with how I looked then. And to an extent, it's true. I've always been an extrovert, so it never really bothered me to be in front of people and be at my size. Like, that was never like the issue. But I would be lying if at that point I wouldn't jump for the chance to drink a magic pill that will just immediately make me lose all my weight. There was definitely a lot of hidden and inner insecurities, because if I really think about it, I used to resent thin people simply for being thin. I would always think, oh, they have it better, oh, they're just pretty, they're just thin, but I'm better in other departments. Like, I would always try to up myself. I would justify my fatness by bringing others down in my head and just feigning that total true confidence. Before, I would project that I was in total control of myself, my fashion, that I look so cool, that I still look pretty despite being fat, or that I didn't feel an ounce of insecurity. But when I would be alone, I couldn't even face my own self in the mirror, especially naked. I hated fitting clothes in the fitting room because I hated looking at my folds and my fat and all that stuff. I was internally insecure, but I just put on a bravado that I didn't care. Now, even though I do still have insecurities, as we all do, it's normal, I can see and assess myself without bringing others down. I take accountability of how I look because I've seen how I can control that. And, you know, to progress from that to here, to where I am now, I really realize how capable I am of shaping how I look. And not just in front of others, but also for myself. As for how I view thin people now, like, honestly, it went through such a 360. Like, I have so much respect for them now, especially the people who are exercising, you know, to maintain their very nice physique. Like, I have so much respect for them. Like, kudos to you, girl. Amazing. The biggest setback in losing weight was my own self, and that was because I was in denial for years and years. It took me a long time to get out of that phase, or to put it bluntly, to get out of my but once I did, I never looked back. I took accountability and rather just shove them aside and eat my feelings in. I worked hard to solve them, to face them, to reach where I am now. It's a different story for everyone, but if there's one thing you could get out from this is that you shouldn't fear those signs and those signals. Listen to them, and although it might be a very hard pill to swallow, in order to grow, you have to make a lot of sacrifices, especially if at the end you know that it's for your own good. It's part of loving yourself. So take a deep breath. Take it one step at a time, and you'll cross the bridge when you get there. That's it for today's video. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. If you like that, give me a like, subscribe, and do share your stories. What were the signs and signals that you denied yourself of noticing before you lose the weight, and how have you been doing or managing them? Do comment them down below, and let's start a conversation. I'll see you guys in the next video. Baboosh!